shout out everything, shout out everyone. You know, don't don't take medical advice from your aunt who's on Suboxone. Okay, that's one thing I won't repeat again. Suboxone's basically like methadone, like, you know, tweaker shit, whatever the fuck they give tweakers when they want to pretend to be in society again and pretend like they're not high all the time, and it gets them high. It's just the same thing as the street shit, but you know, they get a LARP as sober. And yeah. Let's see. I think I got some real stories today. Perhaps we'll check the piggy bank here. But yeah, I was just, you know, I gotta rehash it. You know, I say it every video. You know, just totally getting, you know, the meme Goyim are people too, and it's like, obviously we are far more people than them if they try so hard to you know, just rape and pillage us, you know. Okay, give me 30 seconds to do my spiel. Everyone knows I've said this 1,000 times in every other video, but you know, SSRIs, birth control, circumcision, wisdom teeth removal, you know, whatever else, other antibiotics with the black box label that, you know, your doctor tells you it's fine, and now the rest of your life your testosterone's slightly fucked up, or your endocrine, or your blah blah blah, this or that, you know. I'm not, you know, the food, blah blah blah. You know, if we weren't such Giga Turbo Chad, Atlantis, Degarthan, Valhalla Turbo Chads, do you think they'd try to do all this? If they were the superior chosen people, do you think they'd try to make us as deformed and retarded as possible? Do you think they would go out of their way to do that? No, they would have just left everything as the status quo and kept you know, getting the money or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's just fucked up. Shit is fucked up. I kind of spazzed. I don't think my dad probably has me blocked still. I'm not even sure. I kind of spazzed on him though. You know, it's just the more and more I talk about it, I think it's because when you're an only child and you don't have any other kids to talk to or anything, and you don't really have, I mean, I had some friends once I moved in with my dad. But I think when you don't have a lot of people to talk to around you, you just kind of see shit that goes on, and you just assume that's normal or whatever, and it's not normal. And you know, I remember one year, this is a funny one, I got like $100, maybe a little bit more for my birthday, and then like $100, maybe a little bit more for Christmas, and then maybe I sold, because like I would use, this is kind of funny, this part's not even like bad, or I disagree with this. I think it's good to teach your kids how to make money or whatever. Sometimes I would sell like old Wii games, or just like old shit I just didn't use or play with anymore. I would sell it on Craigslist, and my dad would like come with me, and I think that taught me that was one of the few times that actually taught me about money. But I had like $300 saved. This is in like 2011 or something, and God, that would be like 400 now, maybe more. But my dad would, you know, he would get off work, he'd get paid, you know, it would be the first, or not the first of the month, but you know, it'd be like the 15th or whatever, and he'd get paid, go blow it all in a poker machine somewhere, and you know, or spend it all on weed or beer, or you know, truck parts or whatever. The off-roading was fun and all, but just a total like turbo giga time and money sink that could have been, you know, put into other things. It's kind of crazy looking back how much of a waste just all of it was. Like fucking white trash will tell you they'll be like, there's just not enough money to go around, blah blah blah. this or that, and they'll make all these excuses. Meanwhile, they're spending, 50% of their income on lockers for their truck. Basically, lockers are like, if you have 4-wheel drive, it's like one wheel in the front, one wheel in the back. Lockers are like, you set it up so it's all 4 wheels or whatever. So he's spending all his money on truck parts and shit to go play in the mud and obliterate his truck for no reason. Or he spends it all on weed, et cetera, in the poker machine. And then he's got to ask me, I'm 10, I'm like 11. All I'm thinking about is like, man, should I get an iPod Touch or should I get a PS3 or, whatever? And, so he blows it all in the poker machine. I lend him $300. The thing is, he did pay me back, but still, it's kind of fucking weird, man. Kind of fucking weird. He did that at least 2 or 3 times. And, it's just fucking gay. And these fucking yuppies, like, Casey quoted me the other day saying, oh, I almost feel bad. And all the people replying, like, he's not gonna make it, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, maybe not. But, at least I can make other people aware. And you're not even immune to this wankster, wigger, loser shit, even if you're rich, because rich people are white trash now, too. And these fucking satanic Gen X guys who just, I don't even know if my dad's Gen X. He might be millennial. The dates don't really matter. He's not that old, is all I'm saying. But, he just ate up the super bad, the American Pie, just party it up, wigger, wankster, frat bro programming. He just ate it hook, line, and sinker. And it's crazy because I've talked to him before, and I've been like, hey, you shouldn't have been giving me beer when I was like 10 or 11. That was fucked up. And because I never had any, it's funny to even say this out loud because it sounds insane when you say it. I never had any inkling to do drugs or drink or smoke or anything like that until I moved in with my dad. And then you see it every day. Your pop's just getting turbo obliterated and inebriated. And it's just bleak, man. I'm not totally against, if your dad's well put together and he has a drink at the end of the day, that's one thing. But if your dad if your dad has 5 DUIs and he's getting arrested because he's ignoring his community service, and the week before that, his old lady, his fucking girlfriend's cheating on him or whatever happened. I don't know the details. It doesn't matter. But he's fucking spazzing out, having a Spurg Rage Beta Bucks Deluxe meltdown. Just dude. He opened the door and he grabbed that bitch's. She had like a huge makeup bag, and he's just fucking flinging it like a baseball. Like he could have went to the league, dude. He was fucking flinging that shit so hard. It was bouncing off, because we lived in apartments. It was bouncing off. It was like, you had the walkway and the cement, and then the door on the people on the other side. It was bouncing off the people's fucking door on the other side. Like, dude, he was just fucking flinging that shit. And it's like, you're like 10 and you're seeing your dad just have a Spurg out Beta Bucks meltdown. And it's like, dude, I told you when I was like 8 or like 9, I told you I didn't like her before she moved in. I told you, like, I didn't say it specifically because, I didn't even really know what white trash was back then. But, I told him, I was like, hey, I don't like her. She's not it, bro. You could do better. You're better off just not doing anything at all. Like, it's not worth it. And, he moves her in anyways, and she's a fucking retarded. God rest her soul, because at least she wasn't intentionally, downright just evil. I think she was fucked up, but in a different way to my dad. My dad was just like downright fucking retard, Spurg out, rage monster. I don't even know what the fuck's wrong with him. But she would she would like wring out, I would do the dishes, and she would like wring out the sponge over my head before school in the morning and be like, there's bacteria. My mom, first of all, your mom's a tweaker. And she'd be like, my mom told me there's bacteria, and if you don't wring out the sponge, the water, there's lots of bacteria in it. Why don't you wring out the fucking sponge? How many times do I have to tell you? And dude, I'm like 12, I'm like 13, and it's like, dude, why do you have such beef with me? I think I don't know if it's like because I was closer to her age than my dad was to her age. I don't know. Maybe she saw me as like a brother she hates. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with her. God rest her soul. But yeah, she was just fucking psycho retarded white trash. And I told my dad, like, hey, don't move her in. I don't like her. I told him that when I was like 8. And back to what I was on topic. You're like 10 and you're seeing your dad get arrested because he refuses to do his community service. He has to be in jail for a week, and you just have to sit with this fucking retarded bitch who hates you. You're playing Resistance on PS3, or like God of War 3. You're like 10 years old. You're like looking at titties in God of War 3. You're like 10. You're like on my free cams. Your dad's like nowhere to be seen. You're like watching cam girls. You're just home alone. And this bitch, I'll give it to her, she was nice before I started going through puberty. She was at least good to me before I went through puberty. Once I started going through puberty, like just the slightest, it was like drop of the pin. Like, she just fucking hates me now. I don't know what's wrong with women or society or people in general, but yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. I don't know if you'd count it as beta bucks, more so as just like, hey, I need someone to pay the other half of the rent, and you're good enough, bitch. Type shit, you know what I mean? And when you see this every day, you think it's normal. You're an only child, you don't have anyone else to talk to, and you think your dad giving you beers or whatever is normal. And I won't pretend like it wasn't, but kids used to, they'd smoke cigarettes in the 50s when they were 10 years old, and they'd drink beer or whatever. It probably happened more often than you'd think. But the thing is, like, even if you got fucking perma-fried from being an alcoholic at like 10 years old in 1950, society was so prosperous that even if you perma-fried yourself, you could fail upwards and it wouldn't matter. Now it's like, I'm like savant, genius, I'm borderline genius, not to toot my own horn, and I'm not even that perma-fried, and it's like, okay, you're not gonna make money because you're white. And yeah, it's just gay. I think about how things could have been different, and it's just weird. You shouldn't be paying the rent when you're 11. Shit's fucking weird, man. So yeah, if I stopped posting, my dad probably went to a spurg out meltdown, and probably, I'm not even gonna say it, but yeah. I told him what's up, and I don't know, he probably still has me blocked, fucking freak. And he'd always tell this story. I had this one friend, because he worked for this one rich guy, and he worked for this rich guy, and I moved, I was pretty good friends with this kid. We'd spend the night at each other's, or I'd only spend the night at his house because I was such white trash, low class, poverty, that basically I was so poor, his parents would not allow him to spend the night at my house, is the thing. If that makes sense, if they let their normal chud son spend the night at my house, he could be smoking weed, he could be getting abducted, he could be getting murdered by Mexicans or tweakers. All of those things are not, the likelihood of those happening goes up exponentially if he were to ever spend the night at my house. I think I only had a friend spend the night, like, maybe twice. I don't know if it's just because we lived in, like, tweaker apartments or what, but, yeah, I'd always spend the night at other friends' houses, but, we went and lived with my friend I'm talking about here. We went and lived with him for like, I don't know, 6 months or a year. And I'd say I was like probably like 9 when that happened, I think. And that was cool to LARP as like a rich person for a year. That was pretty fucking sick, you know, quads and the whole nine, you know, playing outside, the good food, the big house, the tall ceilings. Those ceilings make the, you know, just on ceiling height alone, you can change your kid's IQ by like 10 points. You know, if your kid grows up in a fucking 6x6x8 box, compared to if he has 20 foot ceilings, you know, I mean, it's not rocket science. More room to move, more room for the brain to move, more room for the imagination. And so we lived there. What was my point of this? LARPing as a rich person. Oh yeah. Okay. So he'd always talk about how he would see his the dudes we were living with, like his boss and his kid that I was friends with. He would always see his boss, like, I think he was just making this up to cope with the fact that he was giving me beers when I was 11. He would always say, "Oh, he always gives him toddies. He was giving your friend toddies when he was 10 years old, and he turned out fine. He's successful. Why aren't you successful?" And it's really strange because I talked to my friend and he said no, he would never make me mix, because toddies is a mixed drink. It's like a cider liquor type thing, and he's like, no, that never happened. He'd give me like a cap full of whiskey like once in a blue moon, but he wouldn't like give me full drinks or anything. And this guy is an alcoholic now, so I'm sure the whiskey caps didn't help. But I think some people are just, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. Some people just like booze. I don't know. And yeah, and I tried, you know, it's like this wankster loser of my father. He doesn't understand that if you grow up in $1 million house and both your parents are together and you have siblings and food to eat and heat, and your kid doesn't have to pay the rent, and your dad's not being arrested in front of you, that even if he was getting, you know, fucking blitzed, blackout drunk when he was 10, that it's probably a lot less damaging compared to the just loser shit I had to endure. And yeah, I don't get it, man. So fucking weird. Life is just so weird. And this is like, for white America, if I will add this asterisk, if you're in a red state, you can probably still avoid this a little bit. Like, I'm sure you guys still got trailer parks and, you know, poor people or whatever, but I think it's probably less pronounced in red states because the burbs and being able to move away from all this sickening sin is a lot cheaper and easier to do in a red state. But yeah, I think in any blue state, white America is just, there's no divide at all from the high class and the low class at all, and the middle class is just completely gone. And you know, they all mingle together, and it's just a melting pot. There was, at least in, you know, 2012, there were some degree of separation. Like, I remember I would get vetted by like my rich friends. I mean, I was friends with them too, but like just to a very superficial degree. Like, oh, his jock chud football friends would cheat off me on tests and shit, and you know, I'd get to hang out with their Stacy volleyball counterparts, you know what I mean? And their parents would vet me. They would like kind of like scope me out, and you know, they'd talk to me. A couple parents would warm up to me, and after like those first couple parents like figured out I wasn't like a total wigger subhuman, they all just kind of accepted me as like, oh yeah, he's poor, but whatever, he can still come to the birthday parties and shit like that. But yeah, just strange what we got to go through and deal with current year. It makes me think of my Overwatch friend I tell you guys about. It's just, That's so pathetic. That girl is not low class or anything, and you just get totally tortured and ate up and spit out by this sick ass world. I need to stop saying Hell Society. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point. And yeah, it's interesting. So let's see what else. This is a good one. Okay, so God, should I give them names? I don't want to use their real names, but we'll go with John and or no, not John and Jane is too normy. We'll go with okay, whatever. Yeah, we will. I don't want to sit here and all day and fucking brainstorm. But so my dad had this friend, John and Jane, and they would. This was before I moved in with my rich friend. I was like I just moved in with my dad, and I didn't have a babysitter, basically my whole life. So like getting one at 8 seemed like super redundant and strange. And there was John and Jane, and they were characters. They lived in the same apartment complexes as us, and they had these two twin hellions who were, probably 3 years older than me, 4 years older than me, and they were just like, I mean, they were something. They were wild, but when you'd see their parents, you'd understand, because I remember going over there for the first time, and I don't know if John was there. I remember Jane pretty vividly, but Jane, you'd walk in, and she was this like kind of decrepit older woman. She was probably 50. She definitely had her twins right at the very edge of like when it's biologically possible. So that might be why they're also sort of insane. Not that they have like retardation or anything. They're genetically normal. It's just when you start having kids that at 40, it just, there always seems to be something fucking off with. Only if the mom's old. If the dad's old, it doesn't really matter. But when the mom gets up to fucking 40, the kid never seems quite right. I don't know if it's just because the type of person to have a kid at 40 is also retarded in like a gajillion other aspects. And it's, kind of nature versus nurture, hard to say, maybe a little bit of both. But I remember going up to Jane's apartment, and you'd open the door, and just instant, like, hitting a wall cloud of, like, Silent Hill, murky fog. But instead of fog, it's, like, brown fog. And the walls are stained brown from the cigarette smoke. There's at least 20 years of a pack of cigarettes a day stained on the walls in this apartment. And it was just, the stench was so strong. And I was like 8. I've never had a babysitter before this, and I've spent daily, like 8 hours alone daily for my whole life. From like 5 to 8, that was normal. I would just spend 8 hours alone at home. And now I have a crazy, just turbo, like, I don't think she was an alkie. I think she might have been. She probably was. But, she would just chain smoke like a motherfucker indoors. And she'd always make me, she'd put some toast in the toaster and butter it up and put some cinnamon on there and give that to me. And I'd just watch her, like, fuck around on her laptop, or like do like crosswords and shit. And I'd basically just sit there for like 3 hours, just like staring at this lady, like trying not to move, like scared out of my mind, because like their kids were like, they had twins, just fucking going apeshit in their room, doing God knows what. If they were there, 90% of the time they weren't even there. But the dad, John, would get back, and he was like this turbo. He made my dad look like nothing on the drinking scale. This guy would just be, he'd be blitzed at work, he'd be blitzed on his way home, he'd be blitzed when he went to bed. This guy was like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's just fucking blitzed. And he was never like mean or cruel or anything to me, but this guy was fucking strange. He was a strange guy. And I remember the Mayan calendar coming up, and like everyone started talking about like the 2012 shit and like the world ending. And I remember being just so terrified, like thinking we're all gonna die. And like this was like months, and this was like way before 2012 even happened. This was like 2 years before. And I remember just like being stuck in there thinking about how like I'm gonna die and 2012 is gonna be the end of the world and I'll never have a family and I'll never have a wife and shit like that. And I'm just stuck with these fucking chain smokers, and it was just the most bizarre shit you could imagine. And I remember later on, John went camping with my dad, and he got so drunk he fell like face first into the campfire and like burned his hands completely off, and like refused to go to the hospital because he didn't want his old lady to yell at him. And yeah, I mean, just like the most drunk, just like the most bleak, depressing shit you've ever seen. I don't even know how to describe it. Just really strange. His poor kids, I mean, they're fucking nuts now. I mean, they're cool guys and all, and they're somehow not perma-fried every time I run into them. They're like homeless. I don't know if they're junkies, but they're just like, they're fucked. And, those guys could have been normal given any other circumstance or situation. Even if you, had only changed like the media they consumed, if you made all these fucking Stifler retard programming movies, American Pie and Superbad and Project X, if you made all that shit illegal and you're not allowed to show that, they could have turned out semi-decent. Also, if the entire country wasn't just retail jobs, the entire country is just working at Subway, if that wasn't the case for the last 50 years, maybe that would have been good too. But yeah, interesting times. I think that's it. I think I've gone on long enough. Let me know. I don't know how like a couple of you said that the story time vids are like way better. I feel like I need to let them come naturally, because this one was kind of forced, and I feel like trying to like force the stories and trying to remember it all at once is like way less natural and organic. It doesn't turn out as good as me just like mumbling about nothing, and then it comes to me naturally and I can kind of get on a rhythm. So let me know if this one turned out decent, and I'll try to, maybe in the future I can write it out better, or put it in my notes and have a sort of structure to it, because this was kind of fucking all over the place. But yeah, interesting times we're living in. See you later.